Good morning. How's it going today? It's Friday. This is episode 14. Let's say 14. Whatever it says down here, or up here, depending on where you're seeing it. Hopefully you're off to a good start to your day. For me, I started off the day a little early, recorded a quick little promo for my talk for South by Southwest in a couple weeks. There we go. That's better. So I'm going to be spending a bit of the time this morning editing that together, try to make that a nice little tight, 2-minute promo, just to kind of introduce the topic. And I find, not only is that useful for the audience or generating interest from a potential audience, but it's good for me as a speaker too. It's another opportunity to tighten up that message and to really be able to articulate what a talk is all about. And in this case, it's about the surprising prevalence of robots within our industrial framework. So we don't see them day to day, but we see them throughout the manufacturing, throughout cities. They're sort of hidden in this layer behind the scenes. And there's some very real security concerns around them, simply because we've made the same mistakes we make with everything, time and time again. So it's going to be a good talk. It's shaping up real nice, and look for that promo probably early next week on the Trend Micro social channels. So instead of at MarkNCA, where you can find me, at Trend Micro, or on the Trend Micro Facebook page as well, which I'll link to below. So interesting, a little bit of a branded work for me, which I don't normally do, but looking forward to seeing how that trailer is shaping up. So yesterday, standard day, of course, late in the afternoon, we get some really interesting news. There was a brand new record setting. Yay, this is not a good record. Denial of service or distributed denial of service attack. And that's essentially when a whole bunch of systems attack one particular system. So attackers don't get into this game where it's like, oh, I've got a bigger system than you and I can take you down, because that's too expensive for attackers to do. So what they do is they compromise a whole bunch of other systems, then use those systems to attack their target. That's a distributed denial of service attack. Now, the interesting things about these attacks is the attacks themselves are not designed to steal any data. They're designed to disrupt service, so to take something offline. And yesterday's target was GitHub. GitHub is a large code repository, code collaboration site. A lot of open source projects work on it. I contribute regularly to some projects that I am building on my own, to other projects around from different teams. It's a really wonderful service. And a lot of developers have sort of embraced it, but taking it down, it's a popular target. It gets taken down a lot, or attempted to take down a lot. Now, it's got a huge amount of infrastructure behind it and a lot of good services in front of it to prevent it from being taken down offline. And yesterday, the brand new record was 1.35 terabits per second. So you think most home connections max out at 1 gigabit per second download. This is 1.3 terabits per second. So 1,000 times that, that's quite a lot, or 1.35 times your gigabit connection at home. If you're lucky enough to have a gigabit connection at home, a lot of people are still on 50 or 60 meg. So massive scale attack, and that is quite significant because it took GitHub down offline for 8 minutes, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's actually quite significant given the defenses behind it. And again, when I opened up this article, I went, oh crap, here we go. This is going to be another example of IoT devices, so things like smart cameras, like light bulbs, just the devices that we're connecting in our homes being compromised and pushed down. The last record-setting attack was actually all security cameras that were compromised, so the kind of things you buy at like a Costco or Walmart, set up in your small business. And the interesting thing is that that type of attack last time shifted the economics because the actual owners of the devices didn't see any negative impact. So they didn't know they were being involved in this massive record-setting attack. So I opened up this article on Wired. I think it's from Lily Allen Hay. I'll link it below. And if it's not by Lily, I apologize. But it was really interesting because I said, okay, yeah, this is going to be another IoT attack. And it turns out it wasn't. It was a bunch of what's called memcached servers. Now, memcache is a component that people use in building web applications. So there's about 100,000 servers that were involved in this attack. And basically what it is misconfiguration. So this ties back to what we talked about a few episodes back around DevOps and around teams using the amplification of the cloud, so the ability to do more with less or less people on your team. But then, unfortunately, not understanding all the implications. So these were pieces of web applications redirected and used to attack GitHub. And it took it down, and it was really interesting because those 100,000 are not going to be secured or locked down right away. So there's vulnerability will exist for quite a while. And this draws, so the issue of DevOps and culture of using a lot of tools and sort of that full stack engineer, are they capable of locking things down appropriately and configuring things to make sure that their apps are doing what they intend to and only that. And it brings up a larger question of community. If you're online and running a service online, what's your responsibility to others around you? Is it okay if your systems are attacked? Is there liability there? Now, in some jurisdictions there is. In other areas there's not. And this is a question of what kind of neighbor are you? You know, are you that neighbor who's always yelling and no one likes to live next to? Or are you at least making sure that your systems aren't being abused to attack other people? Really fascinating, really interesting. We'll see what happens from the outcome from this one. Unfortunately, I don't think much. Obviously, GitHub will adjust their defenses a little bit, but I don't think these 100,000 vulnerable memcached servers are going to get attended to anytime soon. Very similar to the botnet that took down the security camera botnet. Again, there was no motivation for people to patch. With this one of memcached, they may be a little different in their motivation. But again, we saw 2 weeks ago a rash of management tools exposed online. This is happening more and more, where people are deploying a lot of stuff and they're not sure how to lock it down. There's a lot of issues tied to this, a lot of nuance, something I will dig into after South by Southwest, just like the iOS stuff, because that's priority one right now, is getting that Rogue Robots talk locked down. You're going to see a lot more from me on social in the next week leading up to the festival. As always, looking forward to talking to you guys. Hit me up, Mark NCA, down in the comments below. Hope you guys have a great Friday. Hope you have an even better weekend.